Sports Network, the only game in town.
Welcome game night in the region on the Region Sports Network, streaming live on the internet at regionsports.com, facebook.com/Region Sports, and youtube.com/Region Sports. We come to you tonight from Lake Central High School as the Region Sports Network presents the Lake Central Indians taking on the Crown Point Bulldogs in a DAC Boys Hoops Showdown. Along with Josh Lebowski, I'm Jerry Siska. We have Nathan Laird on production here live at Lake Central, and Justin Cole on the camera. He will bring you all of the pictures from here in St. John this evening. That's your Region Sports Network crew, and we're excited to bring you these longtime rivals in this Duneland Conference matchup. Josh, great to be here with you. Can't believe we're almost at tournament time. Last Duneland Conference game of the season for these two clubs. Draw on Sunday. We'll talk about some of those things as we go through the broadcast. It's a long season, but it has flown by.
Well, it has flown by. I mean, it's pretty incredible just how, the season, you start off in October, November when the season begins, and you think you have so long to go. And when you get into it, you don't realize how quickly it goes by. But, yeah, it's hard to believe we're coming to the end of the penultimate week of the season. And come Sunday night, both of these teams know where or who they're going to be playing in their sectionals. And that's a pretty crazy place to be. But both of these teams are at a point where they're not just trying to get ready for their sectionals, but as you mentioned, this is a very historic rivalry. And these two schools love to defeat each other when they can. I was walking by getting the refs' names, and I heard a chorus of boos coming from the student section of Lake Central when Crown Point came out onto the court earlier today, and Crown Point got fired up after that. They were excited. So both of these schools are very hyped up for tonight's ball game and final DAC game of the year. So it means something, even if these two teams can't win the DAC at the end of the year.
They cannot, but let's take a look at the DAC standings coming in, Josh. There still is something to play for both of these clubs in terms of finishing on a high note, but Crown Point still can do pretty well in league play with a victory here tonight.
They absolutely can. Crown Point with a victory tonight and a Portage loss will clinch sole possession of second place in the DAC. A victory tonight means that they will clinch at least a share of second place in the DAC. Chesterton, regardless of what happens tonight, they will clinch, or they have already clinched the top spot in the Duneland Athletic Conference. So Crown Point looking to finish second in the DAC, which should be one of their better finishes in the DAC over the last few years. If you look back at their relatively recent history in the DAC, they finished third or tied for third the last couple of years in 2021 and 2022. So it'll be their best finish in a while, and so it would be very good for them to be able to finish with that in conference play.
Let's take a look. All the Duneland schools are in action this evening. Josh, let's take a look at the other DAC matchups tonight.
Yeah, Michigan City is going to travel to play Maryville tonight. Maryville still looking for their first DAC win of the year, so looking to try to get outside of, get out of that cellar being winless in the DAC. And another DAC going on tonight, Chesterton looking to finish perfect in a game at Valparaiso this evening. That's the other game on Region Sports Network as well. And Portage taking on the Portage as well, fighting for the same thing Crown Point is, trying to get sole possession of second place in the DAC. So that's what a lot of these teams are playing for here tonight. But a lot of tough matchups. And hey, in the DAC, I mean, this is big boy basketball, so no game is ever given in this conference.
Crown Point comes in with a record of 11-8. They suffered a tough loss at home to Valparaiso last week, 78-73 in overtime. Lake Central comes in 14-7. They have dropped their last two ball games at Michigan City last Friday night, 78-57, and then they lost a close one at Hammond Central on Tuesday night, 54-49. Time to name the T&B Tube Company starting lineups for both teams in tonight's game. It's brought to you by T&B Tube Company. Start and advance your career at tbtube.com. Let's start with the visitors here this evening, the Bulldogs of Crown Point. At one guard is A.J. Lux. He will wear number 5, 6'5 senior. At the other guard, junior, 6'1, Elliott Swan. And also at a guard, wears number 22. He's 6'2 and a junior, Jack Svedich. At a forward, wearing number 23, he's a senior, 6'3, Connor Cotton. And rounding out the starting 5'4 Crown Point, wears number 35, a junior, center, 6'6", Seamus Molaski. The head coach of the Bulldogs is Clint Swan in his 17th year here at Crown Point. Record of 234 and 151 with the Bulldogs, his 26th year overall of coaching here at CP. And there's a assistant coach on that bench that's familiar to Region sports fans, TJ Lux, the former Maryville Pirate head man, now on the staff for Clint Swan. All right, now for the home team on the scoreboard, or the home team period, the Lake Central Indians. They'll start at a guard, 5'10 senior, wears number 1, Miles Yekic. Also at a guard, wearing number 2, senior, 5'10, Mitch Malosnik. At a guard as well, 6'1 and a junior, number 24, Xavier Williams. Playing a forward position, 6'5 and a junior, number 30, Jake Smith. And rounding out the starting five for the Indians, 6'4 and a senior, forward 41, he wears Brandon Escobedo. The head coach of the Lake Central Indians is Dave Malosnik, 262 and 181 in his 19th year here at Lake Central. That's your T&B Tube Company starting lineups for both teams in tonight's game. It's brought to you by T&B Tube Company. Start and advance your career at tbtube.com. Game night forecast brought to you by our friends at Economy Electric Heating and Cooling. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, keeping you cool in the summer and cozy in the winter. The forecast for this evening, clear skies, a low of about 21 degrees with winds out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Right now we're looking at a temperature right around 22 degrees, and with the wind southwest at 5, the real feel is 15 degrees. That's your game night forecast, brought to you by Economy Electric Heating and Cooling with a 24/7 emergency service. Comfort isn't far away. So as Josh and I were talking about, we're nearing the end of the season for both of these clubs. For Lake Central, just one more game on the docket. That'll be next Friday night right here at home against McCutcheon before they will begin playing sectional number 1. For Crown Point, they will have a Tuesday night matchup at home with Morton before closing out the season next Friday night, also at home against the Lowell Red Devils before they move on to action in sectional number 2. And through the broadcast, we'll talk about some of the sectional things for both of these squads, as of course the draw will come out late Sunday afternoon, early Sunday evening. As you mentioned, Josh, both of these squads about 48 hours away from knowing what their postseason journey will look like.
Yeah, it is, and that's always the thing that you look forward to. I mean, no matter what you do in the regular season, it's always all about how you do at the end of the season. I mean, they talk about how big the Indiana Basketball State Tournament is, and, that's what these schools really strive for.
So it is senior night here at Lake Central High School. They have already introduced the seniors, dance team, cheerleaders, boys varsity basketball players. Everybody is now rising to their feet as we are preparing for the playing of our starting of the national anthem. We're getting a few messages from the public address announcer. We want to wish the Lake Central Lady Indians well. They will embark on semi-state action at Huntington North beginning tomorrow with a game against South Bend, Washington, a tough Washington Panther club that's undefeated. So we want to wish them all the best, as well to the Andrean 59ers, who will be playing in 2A in the semi-state tomorrow, and the Washington Township Lady Senators, who will be playing in 1A in the semi-state tomorrow as well. So best of luck to our 3 region teams, the ladies playing in the semi-states tomorrow. So time now for the national anthem.
Great.
All right. We gave you the starting lineups. You're going to hear it once again as the players will now be introduced to the crowd here on hand in St. John for this matchup. And it will start with the Crown Point Bulldogs. And here's number 11, junior guard Elliott Swan, averaging 2 points per game. Jack Svetich, number 22, the junior, averaging 11.2 points per game and 4 assists a contest. Seamus Mulaski, number 35, the junior center, averaging 4.2 points per game and 4.5 boards. Here's A.J. Lux. He wears number 5, the senior guard, averaging 21.3 points per game and shooting 39% from 3-point. And rounding out the starting 5 for Crown Point, 23 and a senior, Connor Cotton, 6.1 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Clint Swan, the head coach of the Crown Point Bulldogs. Lights going out as now the home team, the Lake Central Indians, will be introduced. The flashlights beginning to come out on all those cell phones, especially in the student section, right over to our right and behind the team bench. First player out, number 24, the 6'1" junior Xavier Williams, averaging 8.2 points per game. At forward, 6'5" junior, he wears number 30, Jake Smith, averaging 10 points and 6 rebounds a contest. Here's the 5'10" senior guard, number 1, Miles Yekic, averaging 6.4 points per game and 5 assists. Here's Mitch Milosnik, 5'10" senior, wears number 2, averaging 9 points a game, shoots 38% from 3-point range. And rounding out the starting 5 for Lake Central, number 41, Brandon Escobedo, a senior, averaging 14 points per contest and 6 boards. The head coach of the Indians, Dave Milosnik. And Josh, one of the things I'm excited to watch in this one is the 3-point shooting contest we're going to see between A.J. Lux and Mitch Milosnik. They both have really quick releases. They love shooting the 3. They shoot it at a very high percentage. Their feet are ready when they catch the pass to go up and shoot. Lux likes to bring them off the screens, catch and shoot. Milosnik likes his little step forward, step back 3 that he takes. That should be a lot of fun to watch during the course of this game.
We'll add to that, if you're a believer in the hot hand theory, A.J. Lux was knocking everything down against Valparaiso just 1 week ago. We'll see if he can repeat that performance tonight.
The tap won by Crown Point. They are in the road reds. White lettering, white numerals, and white trim on their uniform. Lake Central in the home whites. Indians on the chest. There's a block by Escobedo on a 3 attempt. But a put-back basket. Good there by Seamus Mulaski.
Good awareness there by Seamus Mulaski to be able to see that play kind of broke down a little bit.
Williams goes right to the basket, puts it up, misses everything. It's tapped around. Svetich comes down with the rebound, brings it into the front court, goes behind the back, stutter step, takes it closer to the baseline. Mulaski with it, swung around left side. And it looks like Cotton over there on the far side. Elliott Swan with the first touch. We're a minute in, 2-0 Bulldogs.
And one thing we're seeing Lake Central do right now, we're seeing them play virtually a man-to-man defense. Sometimes they will switch into a 2-3 zone at times. Be prepared to see Lake Central changing up a little bit.
Lux set himself, got the entry pass in the post, thought about what he wanted to do, made a sweet move, and drops it in. 4-0 Crown Point. Williams. Here's Yekic. He gets the runner on the baseline left side. First field goal of the night for LC. It's a 4-2 Bulldog lead. 6.5 minutes to play first quarter. Svetich with it. Lux now has it. Good job by Williams, because Lux would have let that go if Williams hadn't covered that up.
Yes, he absolutely would have. Now looking at Crown Point here, we're seeing Crown Point, they're starting to move around a little bit more off the ball. When you're playing against a man-to-man defense like this, the key is to try to either A, find a mismatch, or B, simply just really be good in isolation like A.J. Lux is there.
And he's a little short. Jake Smith, the rebound for Lake Central, and he'll bring it across the timeline. 6 minutes left first quarter. Williams on the right side. And the pass stolen. It's Lux that has it. He's got Milosnik on him. Lux gets a little bit of a screen, moves it over to the left, didn't like what he saw, gave it up. Swan, Mulaski off the glass, got it, and he's fouled.
Good job there by Seamus Mulaski. Just simple brute force, using your size to your advantage. That's another matchup I'm really curious to see tonight, is to see guys like Seamus Mulaski, and even when we see Dikembe Shaw come up off the bench, going up against Escobedo down low. I think, to me, you talked about the three-point shooting. I think that's the key matchup where you're going to see the difference between the winner and the loser this evening.
Jake Smith picks up the foul, his first, team first. So Mulaski at the line to try to complete the three-point play. Did he call glass?
Sure did.
Banked it off the board. Scores at 7-2. 5-point advantage to the Bulldogs. Here's Jekic. Across the half-court line. Malosnik with it. You better be all over him because he also has that really quick release on the three.
Absolutely, and something to watch out for when Crown Point is playing defense.
Escobedo takes it, and he scores it.
Great
Double teamed inside, still able to get it up and in.
Again, it's all about just using your size and your strength to your advantage. When you're down low, when you're that close to the basket, you don't really need that much space to be able to make something happen. You just need just enough to get your body up and get it off that glass nice and softly to get it into the hoop.
So this is Swan with it over on the left side of the floor. He takes it to the elbow, lost the dribble, but Mulaski right there and in stride, able to take a couple dribbles and lay it in. Mulaski with 7 of the 9 Crown Point points here early.
7 points early here for Seamus Mulaski, and he's just being very present on the boards tonight. Now, something to watch out for. You see how Seamus Mulaski right there in the paint, he's kind of sitting in the paint. Crown Point plays a man-to-man defense, but a lot of times you'll see them hold somebody in the paint. Seamus Mulaski is usually the guy that's in there, although from time to time they'll switch and someone smaller will end up in there. That's what Lake Central's going to look to exploit if they can get a scenario like that.
Well, Jekic tried to drive the baseline, and when he got himself stuck, tried to kick it out. It was Mulaski that tipped the pass, and it turned into a turnover and a field goal for Jack Svedich.
First time Jack Svedich has scored tonight. Jack Svedich is a guy that oftentimes will play the role of the point guard. Will bring the ball up the floor oftentimes for Crown Point, even if he isn't listed as such.
Smith has a look from 3. Hit buries it. Jake Smith. And it's an 11-7 game. 3:53 remaining in the first quarter. Lux, no. There's Mulaski again, but he misses. Williams with the board. Brings it the other way. Escobedo off the glass. Too strong. Tapped around. That's Lux with it coming the other way. 1 against 2. Stutter steps. Takes it. Gives it up. Cotton to Swan to the score. That's just outstanding ball movement right there, Josh.
Good ball movement and just a good job of being quick there on the break. But the other thing I noticed there, when Lake Central was driving there on the other end, how Elliott Swan was caught inside underneath up against Escobedo. That's the type of thing Lake Central wants tonight. That's the type of thing they need to do multiple times tonight if they're going to come away with a victory.
Williams misses the 3, and Svedich gets the rebound and brings it into the front court, gives it up to Lux. We're approaching the 3-minute mark in the first quarter. 13-7 Crown Point. Lux off the iron, no. Smith another board. Kicks it out. There's Malosnik with the quick release 3. That's a little strong. There's Mulaski with the rebound.
Not a bad shot. Mitch Malosnik is the type of guy you want to be taking those wide open threes. I mean, you just got to accept when you have a three-point shooter, he's going to miss some of them. He happened to miss that one. It's all right, still early.
Mulaski finds Svedich, but a little ahead of him. He couldn't control it. Turnover. Here's Jekic the other way for Lake Central. 2.5 minutes to play. Bulldogs by 6. There's Mulaski getting his hand on the ball, but Escobedo able to get it back, take it in on the spin move, scored off the glass, and he's fouled.
You know, basketball 101, stay in between your man and the basket, and whenever your man gets behind you, that's when things get very difficult. Escobedo able to get down there, and all Mulaski could do there was commit a foul to try to see if he could do anything. But now we're seeing Dikembe Shaw come into the game, another guy that's going to be very key in the defense of Crown Point tonight because both these teams have a lot of size inside, and I think that's going to be a battle to watch this evening.
You mentioned Dikembe Shaw for Crown Point into the game for Lake Central. Brett Spain and Ritt Peters. Escobedo to try to complete the three-point play, and can't. Battle for the loose ball, out of bounds. It'll go to Lake Central. Stay with us after the game when we'll name the proud Union home play of the game, presented by IKORCC, the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters. So that's Jekic to trigger the inbound pass. Gets it to Spain. Spain going inside to Escobedo. He's double teamed again, but right there is Peters. He puts it up. No.
Great help defense there by Peters. You see how Shaw had let his man get behind him. Peters was right there to be able to defend against Escobedo and be able to make life a little bit tougher, save 2 points there.
And on the entry pass, going into Lux, there's a whistle and a foul against the Indians. And that foul goes against Ritt Peters, his first, team second, and here's Dorian Beatty coming in for Lake Central.
This is something you'll see a lot. Lake Central is a team that has a lot of depth, and they have a very open rotation. They have a lot of guys that will see action over the course of a game, more so than some other teams you'll see. Some teams only usually have a 7-man rotation. Lake Central will run 8, 9 guys out there oftentimes.
With the basketball is Kingston Rhodes, who just recently entered to the ball game for Crown Point. Svetic with the basketball. Rhodes swung around. Lux, he's got a good look from 3. Buries it. A.J. Lux.
Whenever A.J. Lux is wide open for 3, that's the last thing you want to see. That dude was pulling up from NBA range against Valpo, and he was wide open there to be able to make that 3 ball. 3
on the way from Spain. That comes up short. Long rebound. Brought down Svetic. He runs it the other way. Gives it up. Tried to Rhodes, but it's intercepted. Jekic loses control of the ball, but there's going to be a whistle and a foul. Push from behind is the call. And Josh, the officials for tonight, they are...
Oh, yes, the officials for tonight's contest between Lake Central and Crown Point are Raleigh Thill, Jeff Ward, and Doug Wilcox are the officials for tonight's ball game.
Jake Smith back in the lineup for Lake Central. The foul went against Connor Cotton for Crown Point, his first, team second. So that's Jekic to trigger the inbound on the baseline. 1:25 remaining in this first quarter, 16-9 Bulldogs. Ball able to get into Peters. A little tough time getting the basketball in, did Lake Central. Jekic with it. Jekic, little screen from Smith. Now Smith gets it. Crown Point, or Lake Central, has no one in the middle right at the moment. Here's a 3, partially blocked there. Spain attempted it. Out of the air, Lux brings it the other way.
No, they don't, and I was very surprised because they did have a situation where Elliott Swan was the guy in the middle.
A.J. Lux with another triple. He has 8 in the game. It's a 10-point lead for Crown Point.
I mean, it was just a matter of time before A.J. Lux started to heat up. That guy, he's averaging 21 points per game coming into this contest. This is a guy that just, simply he's a scorer. That's exactly what he is. And given the fact that this guy definitely has a future in college as well, he's doing exactly what you expect him to do.
Molaski's back in as Cotton will sit out this final minute to get a little break here as we near the end of the quarter. This is Smith with the basketball. Lake Central has it. And down 10 already, Josh. They need a basket desperately here to finish the quarter.
They need some sort of momentum is what they need.
And there it is. Brett Spain hits a 3.
Sometimes it's as simple as just seeing the ball go through the hoop and just finding a way to score, put some points on the board. A 7-point game feels a lot better than a 10-point game.
And Lake Central does get the ball to start the second quarter, so a stop here would be huge. There's a block by Peters, but here's Shaw with it, puts it up. That's no good. Jekic with the basketball, lets it fly from half court off the backboard, no good. That's the end of one quarter from here in St. John. Crown Point 19, Lake Central 12. You're watching Game Night right here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Top reasons to work at Strack and Van Til.
Many opportunities to grow.
Flexible hours.
Outstanding benefits like paid vacation time and holidays.
Enjoy health benefits in a 401k plan.
I always feel like I'm part of the team.
Premium and competitive pay.
The sign-on and referral bonuses help to find the perfect talent.
Text STRAX to 97211 to apply today, or visit our site at strackandventil.com/careers. Nobody else will give you the opportunities that we do.
Hi, I'm Crown Company's Lantern Man. I'll cover your motorcycle. I'll be with you on the water. I'll be with you on the snow. I'll cover your insurance needs wherever you go. I'll be at Crowell Agency from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Companies, the insurance professionals in Highland, Maryville, and Michigan City.
This Strack and Van Til scoreboard update brought to you by Strack and Van Til, your favorite Indiana-made grocery store.
Yeah, Valparaiso on top of Chesterton, 22-20 with 3:06 to go in the second quarter. Chesterton, as we mentioned, they have already clinched the DAC. However, Valparaiso looking to finish with a winning record in Duneland Athletic Conference play. They come into tonight with a record of 3-3 in conference play.
That's Josh Lepowski. I'm Jerry Siska. That is Rhett Peters with the field goal to begin the second quarter. And we have a 19-14 score here. Crown Point in front, and they have the basketball. Swan has it stripped by Beatty. Then a whistle and a foul coming against the Indians.
And it seems like Lake Central has really started this game with a lot of momentum, and ball's going to go Crown Point's way as
Brett Spain's going to pick up a illegal screen foul.
Yeah, Brett Spain shaking his head. He's not happy with that call.
That's his first and the team's third.
I mean, you could see where he's coming from when your own guy ends up on the deck and you're the guy called for a foul.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You know?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But
yeah, you know.
So the basketball goes back to CP.
Wow.
This is Kingston Rhodes with it. Svetic re-entered the game at the last stoppage with that whistle for the foul. He has the basketball right now. Lux, Swan. Lux again. Good jump out by Smith, stopping Lux from being able to take that top of the key three, because that's where he was going and what he was going to do.
And we're seeing how Lake Central is playing a really high-pressure man-to-man defense. They are simply just not leaving their guys, and it's becoming very difficult for Crown Point to be able to get any sort of ball movement going just because Lake Central is playing so tight on them. I think they realize that a zone defense won't work as well against a guy like an A.J. Lux, because if you give him enough room to shoot a three ball, it's a lot easier to do that when playing a zone defense. It's when playing against a zone defense, I should say. When playing against a man, it's tough to find open space outside, which is the type of thing I think that Crown Point wants to exploit.
That foul was a foul on Rhett Peters of Lake Central, his second, team's fourth. Immediately Xavier Williams comes in. Peters goes out, shot blocked by Smith. Elliott tried to put it up, did a pump fake. Jake Smith didn't bite, got the block. Beatty the other way for LC.
Good patience there by Spain there. A lot of times guys try to play hero ball. He did a good job waiting to be patient, understanding, hey, I'm bigger than this guy. Once he goes up with it, I'll be able to take care of it, no problem, and he was able to do so.
Escobedo, this is going to be a whistle coming up against Molaski. That'll be two on Seamus Molaski.
And now we're sitting here. Lake Central is now on a mini run here. It was a 19-9 ball game. Now it is a 19-14 ball game. And now Escobedo is looking to make that a little bit quicker.
He gets two. Second foul on Molaski. Third team on Crown Point in this first half. Escobedo's first free throw is good.
And the last thing that you want is your big man to get in foul trouble, especially when you have a guy like Brandon Escobedo, who's the leading scorer on this Lake Central squad. When you have that to deal with inside, whenever your big man gets into foul trouble, you get a little nervous as a coach because you understand that he has to be a bit more careful with how he plays. Thankfully, they have depth in that area with Dikembe Shaw. He'll get an extended run out here.
And he just came into the game as Molaski has a seat and Cotton re-entered for Crown Point as Swan has a seat. Escobedo misses the second free throw. We have a 4-point game, 6.5 minutes first half. This is Rhodes, Lux, turnaround by Svetic. That's no good. Beatty gets the errant shot. Lake Central back the other way, down 4. As Josh just told you, it was a 19-9 game. We've got a 6-0 run going on by the Indians and a chance to cut into that deficit some more on this possession. Smith with it. Escobedo way out high, gives it up to Beatty. Molosnik has a good look from the right corner, buries it. Mitch Molosnik. It's a 1-point game, 19-18.
First three of the game, and again, that's kind of the thing that can be a problem when you have a guy stuck there in the middle on defense if you're Crown Point, because what you're trying to do if you're Lake Central, when you're running motion along the baseline, you're simply just trying to see if you can get that defender a little bit confused, kind of set a mini screen, if you will, which is exactly what Molosnik was able to do and get himself opened up for a three ball.
And now we have a legal screen coming against Crown Point, so this will be a turnover. Ball go back to Lake Central.
We have a 9-0 run in this ball game now, and all the momentum in this ball game currently resides on that Lake Central bench. It is not on that Crown Point bench anymore. And that's just kind of what we expected from tonight. Two very evenly matched teams. And again, like we said, big boy basketball here tonight. So this is what we expected.
The foul went against Dikembe Shaw, his first, team's fourth. We have a full timeout on the floor. We'll take one as well. 5:33 left first half. Bulldogs by 1. You're watching Game Night right here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town. At the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll name the Crown Company's Lantern Man superhero of the game. Crown Companies, they have offices open from 9 to 7, Monday through Friday, and Saturdays until 2 in Highland, Maryville, and Michigan City. Also at the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll name the Boilermakers Local 374 Blue Collar Player of the game. It's brought to you by Boilermakers Local 374. Earn while you learn with Boilermakers Local 374. Along with Josh Lepowski, I'm Jerry Siska. 19-18. Bulldogs lead. It's just a 1-point advantage. Lake Central with the opportunity to take their first lead of the night. 5:15 remaining, second quarter. Malosnik's three short. Smith keeps it alive. Williams to the goal, off glass, no. And Svedic with the rebound.
Again, that was on a bad offensive possession there by Lake Central. Again, you just want to get it inside. You were able to get Malosnik open for a three. Get your playmakers the ball. That's what you want to do. Keep doing that. You're going to find the bottom of the bucket eventually.
That's Mason Darrell that just had the ball, number 10 for Crown Point. Escobedo on the runner, no. Cotton the rebound, and a whistle and a foul coming against Mitch Malosnik.
Yeah, that's disappointing there if you're Escobedo. You were wide open there. A little surprised that he pulled up for that floater. If I were him, maybe use your size and strength to get inside and try to go up with that ball. Regardless, good effort there. Again, it's important to be quick on the fast break like he was there.
So that's the 15th foul on the Indians, first on Malosnik. Unable to take advantage of the possession and take their first lead of the night. Crown Point has led from the start thus far. We're at 4:40 remaining in the first half. 19-18 is your score, Bulldogs. Pass, Svedic, contact, and it's going to be an offensive foul against Jack Svedic. Good job there by Xavier Williams.
Textbook defense there from Xavier Williams there, number 24. He did a great job there planting his feet right there as Svedic went right into him trying to take the blocking foul or trying to force a blocking foul. Great job there by Williams to set his feet. He was planted there. Great job. Lake Central gets the ball back.
Connecting the first half and the second half of tonight's game, it's the Host Connections halftime report presented by Host Connections. Proven under pressure. That'll be coming your way at the end of this quarter. Smith with it. Again, Lake Central an opportunity to take their first lead of the night. Jekic, who's back into the game, has the basketball. He's going to pull up. The runner is good, and the Indians lead.
Great job there by Miles Jekic. Again, both of these teams, as Crown Point just hit a three that time. Again, both these teams, they just all around have strength everywhere. 3-point shooting, good big men on the inside. They have a lot of opportunity to do a whole lot. Very well-rounded teams here, and we're seeing that here tonight.
Jekic through the hands of Smith. Lux picks it up. I believe it was Lux that hit that last three for the Bulldogs, so they are back in front. Pass, Shaw, score. Good assist by A.J. Lux.
Good assist there from A.J. Lux and good effort there by Dikembe Shaw. Again, getting an extended run out here with Seamus Mulaski in a bit of foul trouble as Lake Central calls the timeout.
And it's a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it right here with them. 24-20. Crown Point back in front by 4. So the Indians take their first lead, and it lasts very few seconds as Crown Point goes right back in front and now goes on a little 5-point run.
No, yeah, and again, great job there by Crown Point to silence that crowd a little bit here. Crown Point had not scored at all in that second quarter until that point. Now they have this little 5-0 run. It's back to a 2-score game. And again, it's all that stuff is important here. When you're playing on the road, it's all about trying to take the crowd out of the game as much as you can. I mean, these Lake Central students have showed up big time as they are sitting off to the right of the camera screen. You can see there, and with Lake Central student section being a little bit pulled out of the game when they're losing, that's so important if you're Crown Point, and they're doing a good job of that right now.
There's a nice student section across the way for the Bulldogs as well. Most of them dressed in black down there.
They're making their voices felt too.
Yakic with the basketball as we resume action following the LC timeout. 2-1-2 or a 3-2 variation. It depends on how Shaw is dropping back or not. And here's a pass knocked away and ball is loose. Yakic comes back up with it. Smith has it. Goes to Williams. Malaznik. So after a little bit of volleyball play, Josh, Indians maintained possession. Yakic with it. 3 minutes remaining in this first half. Yakic to the corner. Malaznik for three. Got it. Mitch Malaznik.
Mitch Malaznik has really found his groove here in this second quarter. Didn't hit much in the first quarter, but we're seeing him hit some here in the second quarter.
He has 2 triples in this frame. We're back to a 1-point game. 2:45 remaining first half. Lux gives it up. Cotton swung around. 3 ball on the way off of the back of the iron. That's no good. Darrell. But there's Shaw with the board. The putback. Dikembe Shaw.
That's exactly what Crown Point wants to see from Dikembe Shaw. Again, I said before the night, the big men are going to play a big role in this one. How did they play on the offensive glass? Great job offensively there by Shaw.
Yakic banks home a 3, and we are tied at 26. First tie of the game. Here's Svedic. We're going to get a whistle and a foul. That's going to go against Miles Yakic. He's a little frustrated with that. First foul on him, 6th team on Lake Central. Lake Central won the JV game here earlier this evening, 53-43. Elliott Swan comes in as Mason Darrell will have a seat for the Bulldogs. There's a lot of freshmen getting some minutes off the bench for this CP squad.
Yeah, there are, and that's always something you love to see if you're a head coach, to know the fact that there are guys that are young kids that are going to be here for a long time that can contribute right away. I mean, to give them the opportunity to play varsity minutes and to be able to play against a good opponent in a big game like this, I mean, that's always something that you love to see, and that's not always something that you can do, but Crown Point has that opportunity, and you want to take advantage of it in any way that you can.
We had a whistle and a stoppage in play because the ball came loose from the seats onto the playing floor, so the basketball remains with the Bulldogs with 1:57 remaining in the first half, and this game all tied up at 26.
Now I'm curious to see here with Crown Point, we see A.J. Lux hanging out down there right underneath the basket. Curious to see how Crown Point is going to try to use A.J. Lux here in this position. We see Xavier Williams as the guy that has been tasked with defending him. Lake Central putting the guy probably with the best athleticism on the team on A.J. Lux.
Lux with the runner with the right hand. He scores. A.J. Lux.
That puts Lux to 13 on the night.
Smith quickly the other way for the Indians with the right hand. The turnaround, no. And that is Svedic with the board. He'll bring it up. Yakic makes some change directions. Cotton has it. 1:25 left first half. Shaw with it. Shaw working on Escobedo into the lane with the right hand off of the back of the iron. It won't go, but we've got a whistle and a foul, and that's going to go against Brandon Escobedo.
Yeah, Brandon Escobedo. Again, it's just you have to be aggressive there when you're underneath. It's as simple as that. I mean, you have to be able, again, when it's big man against big man, I mean, it becomes a game of inches down there because you don't need that much space to put a shot up there, and sometimes it can be very difficult. But Dikembe Shaw missed that first free throw. Dikembe Shaw from the line this season has been relatively decent, though, 10 of 15 coming into this ball game from the free throw line.
The foul on Escobedo, his first, team 7th, and into the game for Lake Central, Dorian Beatty, and out Xavier Williams as Shaw splits the pair of free throws. And Crown Point back in front by 3 at this point, 29-26 on the and late first half, Beatty with it. Escobedo, Smith, 1 minute left. Malosnik has a room from three. Buries it. Third of the quarter for Mitch Malosnik. And we're tying back up at 29.
Tying it back up. Great job there for Mitch Malosnik to find his way open and just to be a sharp shooter. You have to have that confidence if you're a jump shooter.
Swan can't get it to fall, but there's Shaw with the putback basket.
Shaw has simply dominated on the offensive glass ever since he came into this ball game, and that is the difference. When you are on offense, sometimes it can be very difficult because the defender is oftentimes in between you and the basket, so to be able to get offensive rebounds can be very tough. Impressive for Dikembe Shaw to get some points there on the offensive glass. It's making a big difference in this ballgame.
Escobedo has it. 20 seconds. Lake Central going to wait for the final shot. Shaw, 7 points in this quarter. Jekic gets it as we're down to 10. 31-29 Bulldogs. Jekic, kick out. Beatty into the lane. Scoop with the left hand. Won't go. Loose ball, and that's the end of the half. At the intermission, it's Crown Point 31, Lake Central 29. You're watching Game Night right here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Develop skills that will last for a lifetime with an apprenticeship with the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Local 4, Indiana, Kentucky. The apprenticeship and training program is committed to developing highly skilled bricklayers, terrazzo workers, and ceramic tile setters to provide the construction industry with the best hands in the business. If you are currently working non-union and want better pay with benefits, or if you think learning a new skill with a paid apprenticeship while you earn your associate's degree is the right path for you, visit baclocal4.org/training to learn more about the apprenticeship program. Are you built to succeed?
Start or advance your career at T&B Tube Company. At T&B, employees are more than just a number. They are a valuable part of the success of T&B Tube Company and make an impact every day. Located just a short drive away from Chicago, T&B Tube Company offers benefits such as tuition reimbursement and a community-like work atmosphere. To learn more about joining the growing team at T&B Tube Company, visit tbtube.com/careers. Since 2000, Hose Connections in Hammond has been a premier leader in the hydraulics industry. Hose Connections is a one-stop shop offering quality hydraulic and pneumatic products and services. Hose Connections takes pride in not only meeting but exceeding customers' expectations. To learn all about the products and services that Hose Connections offers, visit hoseconnectionsinc.com or call 219-844-6570. Hose Connections in Hammond, proven under pressure.
For over 75 years, the Paul Hearing name has been synonymous with auto sales. But wait, did you know that Paul Hearing has a top-notch body shop? Your car doesn't have to be a Ford. Paul Hearing repairs all makes and models and works with most insurance. At the Paul Hearing Body Shop, there are no backlogs, meaning they can get you in and back on the road again fast. And now Paul Hearing wants to give you a $100 gift card just for having your vehicle repaired. Call Paul Hearing at 219-942-2143 to schedule your body shop estimate.
From schools to stadiums, hospitals and bridges, everywhere you look, union carpenters are building Indiana. With jobs and skilled trades in high demand, there's never been a better time to start building your future. As an apprentice, you'll earn a debt-free college degree, earn while you learn, and receive great benefits like healthcare and retirement. So what are you waiting for? Visit carpenters.com to learn more. Visit carpenters.com and start building your future today.
With electrical services from Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, you can radiate the perfect amount of light and energy into your home. From rewiring and code upgrades to ceiling fans, lighting, security, and more, Economy Electric Heating and Cooling's trained electricians will make sure you can enjoy your home on full power all the time. For a free estimate on electrical work, call Economy Electric Heating and Cooling at 219-923-4441, and you can visit them on the web at 4ajobdoneright.com. That's the number 4ajobdoneright.com.
Along with Josh Lipowski, I'm Jerry Siska back with you here in St. John, Lake Central High School, where the Crown Point Bulldogs lead the home-standing Indians 31-29, and you're watching the Host Connections Halftime Report. It's brought to you by Host Connections on Kennedy Avenue in Hammond. Visit them on the web at hostconnectionsinc.com. Host Connections, proven under pressure. Well, the first half's pretty much been what we thought it would be, Josh. Kind of game of runs. A little bit of a lead by Crown Point on a couple of occasions. Lake Central hasn't had a large lead at all, but we've had 2 lead changes, 2 ties, all occurring in the second quarter. And we've had some good shooting and some good inside play.
Well, yeah, we have. I mean, you highlighted before the game the outside shooting. Maybe Mitch Malosnik's been really good outside. AJ Lux as well. But I was telling you, I think the real difference in this game has been the performance of Seamus Molaski and Dikembe Shaw. Both have combined for 14 points. And how many times did we see Crown Point on the offensive glass in that first half, able to get a rebound, put it back up? You take 3 of those away, Lake Central is a 4-point lead.
I was going to say, there's 3 of them I can think of right off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's, to me, has been the big difference in this ballgame. I think everything's been more or less equal on both sides. I think the difference has been down low. And I think, to me, I think we're gonna have to see, guys. I think we're gonna see Escobedo really come out with a competitive fire here in the second half, because I think he's a guy that I think if you're Lake Central, you want to see get going in that department. So I think Lake Central, I think that's what you're going to see a bit differently come out of the second half. But Crown Point, that, and especially impressive because Dikembe Shaw being asked to play some extended minutes out there because of Seamus Molaski getting into a bit of foul trouble early. I mean, you've got to be happy if you're Crown Point.
Taking a look at some of the unofficial numbers from the first half, scoring-wise, A.J. Lux, 13 points to lead the way for both teams. He had 3 3-point field goals in that first half. Elliot Swan had 2. Jake Svedich had 2. Seamus Molaski had 7. And Dikembe Shaw with 7, as Josh just mentioned. The 2 big men combining for 14 points in that first half. And Molaski got all 7 in the first quarter, but when he got in foul trouble, Shaw picked up the slack. It didn't fall off. He had his 7 points all in the second quarter. 2 of 3 from the free throw line for Crown Point in the first half. For Lake Central, Mitch Malosnik with 9 points to pace the Indians. 3 3-point field goals, all coming in the second quarter. Miles Yekic with 7 points. Brett Spain off the bench with 3. Jacob Smith with 3 on a 3-point field goal. Rip Peters off the bench with 2. And Brandon Escobedo with 5. Lake Central just 1 of 3 at the free throw line in the first half. So Lake Central outscores Crown Point 17-12 in the second quarter, because Crown Point came into the frame with a 19-12 lead. But we're right there with a 31-29 game. Bulldogs in front. It's anybody's game.
It is anybody's game, absolutely, at this point. I mean, no one's really dominated, particularly in this ball game. And I think, a couple adjustments on either side, I think could really very well be the difference in this game. I mean, I think, oftentimes a lot of these games come down to halftime adjustments. What are these coaches saying to these teams at halftime? Are they making those right adjustments that they need to make? That oftentimes is the difference in games like this, and I think that's what it's going to come down to this evening.
So it takes a look like now we are going to meet the players from some of the younger teams here in the Lake Central school system. Elementary school teams, it looks like, middle school team potentially, but so that'll take just a little bit. It is senior night here, of course. 31-29, Crown Point with the lead. And Josh, we talked how we're nearing the end of the season. In less than 48 hours, these teams are going to know their paths through the state tournament. Let's take a look at sectional number 1, where Lake Central will play, and sectional number 2, where Crown Point will play. Who are the other combatants in those fields?
Well, Lake Central's in a very tough sectional. They play in 4A Sectional 1 out of Munster. They have EC Central, Gary Westside, Maryville, Hammond, Morton. But the 2 big dogs in that Central, Hammond Central and Munster, 2 of the top teams in the region. So Lake Central definitely has an uphill battle for themselves if they want to get out of Sectional 1, so it's going to be tough for them. Crown Point, on the other hand, they get to play in their home court. They're going to play in Crown Point. They have in their sectional, they have DAC Conference Champion Chesterton. They also have some teams from the Northwest Crossroads Conference in Hobart, Kankakee Valley, and Lowell, and fellow DAC combatants Portage and Valparaiso. So, you look at both of these squads, I mean, they have very difficult paths in front of them through the sectionals. I don't think there's really any way else you can slice it. They both are going to have an uphill battle to get through them, but that's why nights like tonight are so important, to have tough games like this. And I think it's a good way for these coaches to just get these guys an understanding of, hey, look, if you guys want to win a sectional, if you want to make it downstate, you're going to have to beat up on some big dogs, and you're going to have to win games like this. You're not going to win these games, 70-45. That's just not how it is once you get into the postseason. And I think this is definitely a good opportunity for that to be a preview here for that coming up here in the next couple of weeks. But again, in 48 hours, both of these teams at the very least are going to know who they're going to play. They're going to know what their bracket looks like, what their path is going to look like. And, even beyond that, I think just understanding, where you're going, who you're going to play, I think is something that they can look forward to a little bit.
And we want to talk about a couple of other Duneland schools doing this Duneland Conference matchup. LaPorte and Michigan City play in sectional number 3 in Class 4A. And Jordan Heckard in his second year at LaPorte and Tom Wells over at Michigan City, both of those squads having really, really good seasons. And for LaPorte, they're going to host the sectional this season.
They are. They're going to have Michigan City there, and then they're going to have some schools from the South Bend area in South Bend Adams and South Bend Riley. Also, Mishawaka, that's not too far from South Bend. Also, Plymouth is going to be there as well. So some schools a little bit further out there, schools that you don't always see coming to the region. So it's going to be a bit of more of an unknown region, or an unknown sectional, I guess you could say, in that sense for LaPorte and Michigan City. But as you said, LaPorte having a tremendous season. They're 3-3 in DAC play, but they're 15-5 overall. Michigan City is 15-6 overall on the season. So both of those schools have a really good opportunity heading into that sectional. And again, LaPorte being able to host it, being able to play those games on your home floor is always a big thing because, your students, your fans, they'll show out for those games.
Yeah, absolutely will. So there's a little look at 4A and the sectionals as they pertain to the two combatants on the floor tonight and other DAC schools. So again, Sunday evening the tournament begins. As soon as you know that draw, we start looking ahead at what could happen. And there is a change in the tournament this year in case fans are not aware. No longer the 4-team, 2 games in 1 day regional. The regional is now taking on the look of the old semi-states, where it'll be just 1 game to win a regional title. I like it. That means 32 teams get a chance to win regionals this year instead of 16, as in the past. The same class will play at a site. There'll be 2 games, but each game is a separate regional of its own. And now semi-state becomes the 2-game in 1 day thing in week number 3 of the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely, and it kind of gives semi-state kind of that old Final Four feel of the old Hoosier Hysteria days when you had the Final Four and that sort of stuff. Kind of gives it that feel, moves that a little bit later in the tournament, and that's going to be very interesting. Even just a further note, both of these teams, if they were to make it out of their sectional, heck, they could end up playing each other in that regional. That feeds into the Michigan City regional for a Regional 1. And then you move on to semi-state after that, and then semi-state is going to be decided. The sites are going to be determined by a random draw on March the 12th, the day after the regionals are completed. So, you don't want to look too far ahead, but again, I'm excited. We have that. We're going to get a taste of that tomorrow with the girls.
We are.
As you mentioned, Lake Central featuring the daughter of the head coach of Lake Central's boys team here, Coach Malaznik. His daughter Riley is going to be playing tomorrow when Lake Central takes on South Bend, Washington. As you mentioned, in Drayton and Washington Township, a couple of other region teams that are going to fight tomorrow for the right to go down to Indianapolis to play in the state championship game on the girls' side. So, we're going to see that really come into fruition tomorrow, and I'm very curious to see how it goes about and what everybody thinks of it.
During this broadcast, we've talked about how well Mitch Malaznik shoots the 3. I can tell you from seeing her firsthand, Riley Malaznik can really shoot the 3 as well for the Indians. So that should be a lot of fun, a busy weekend in the Malaznik family, that's for sure. You've been watching the Host Connections Halftime Report, brought to you by Host Connections on Kennedy Avenue in Hammond. Visit them on the web at hostconnectionsinc.com. Host Connections, proven under pressure. So we're just about set to begin third quarter action here at Lake Central, with Crown Point leading this one 31-29. Again, I'm Jerry Siska. Josh Lepowski with me. We've got Nathan Laird on production and Justin Cole bringing you all the pictures on the camera. Then there, that's your Region Sports Network crew here in St. John for this Friday, the 17th of February. So Crown Point will get the basketball first. It's Connor Cotton that will trigger the inbound. Original starting 5 of Lux, Swan, Svetich, Cotton, and Molaski on the floor for the Bulldogs. Same is true of the Indians: Jekic, Malaznik, Williams, Smith, and Escobedo. 3 ball on the way. Lux off the iron, high for the board. Jekic. So Lake Central comes the other way after Crown Point misses the first shot of this third quarter. Escobedo with it. Smith. Jekic, Malaznik. Down low, Smith. Smith Posting up on Cotton, taking him down low. Puts it too strong off the board. Svedic with the weak side board.
Crown Point just keeps winning that battle down low. I mean, that's the difference in this ball game. Both these teams pretty even outside, it seems like, but just when you get down low, when you get down there, it just seems like Crown Point always tends to win those battles, whether it's offensively or defensively. Middle of the game.
Cotton with it. Lux with Williams on him, and Xavier Williams going to pick up the personal on the block. His first, team's first of this second half. So it will remain Crown Point basketball. Cotton to trigger the inbound right in front of the Bulldog bench. Comes in, and Svedic. Swan with it. Cotton. Down low, Melansky. Tries to hit a cutting Swan. Pass misses. Jekic there to intercept. Takes it coast to coast. Puts it up. Cotton made him change his shot. He missed it last, knocked out of bounds by, I believe it was Escobedo, so it'll go to Crown Point.
I feel like I'm just seeing the same movie every time they go down the floor. Every single time, whenever Lake Central tries to go inside Crown Point, it's like a brick wall down there, whether it's offensively, defensively. It just doesn't matter what side, and that's just why Lake Central just hasn't been able to build anything. Whenever you have to try to limit your scoring to everything being outside, yes, threes are greater than twos. That's simple math, but what else is simple math is that shooting 30 or making shots 30% of the time is a lot less than making shots 40 to 50% of the time. And when you're forced to shoot outside a lot, you make a lot less of those. And when you miss those shots that are in close, it makes it a lot more difficult to be able to compile a lot of points during a game.
Foul right there on Jacob Smith, his second and the team's second on the Indians. Interesting, you said you seem to be watching the same movie over and over. We are in the month of February, but Groundhog's Day was back on the 2nd. Here's a little baby hook by A.J. Lux.
I'm about to tell you something right now that you might be mad at after I tell you it. I've never seen Groundhog Day.
I'm not mad.
Nathan's just fired me, everybody.
Nathan,
our producer, just fired me.
Josh, you have a great weekend. Here's the pass
Terry.
to Escobedo. He scores.
Well, I'll stay on the microphone for this at the very least. But, again, good job there of just being able to get inside and using the space able to you. You don't need a lot of space in order to make a shot in that close like that.
Escobedo wants a three. No. Svedic had missed on the other end. It hit the support beams. It'll go to Crown Point. 33-31. Still a 2-point advantage to the Bulldogs with 5:32 remaining in the third quarter. And stay with us after the game when we'll name the Proud Union Home Play of the game presented by IKORCC. Learn more at IKORCC.com.
Also, if we want to take a look at the Strachan Van Til hometown scoreboard, Chesterton and Valparaiso beginning the fourth quarter. Chesterton up by 7, 48-41 in Valpo.
Here's a whistle and a foul as A.J. Lux went to drive. And that's Xavier Williams, his second. Team's third. And Rhett Peters in, Xavier Williams out. 33-31. Each team has a 2-point field goal here in this first 3 minutes of the third quarter. Svedic with it, had to chase it down. Gives it up to Molaski. Molaski has it blocked by Smith. Ball loose. Escobedo has it. He wanted to go to Peters, but thought better of it and said, I'm just going to reset it. Jekic has it.
Yeah, no need to overcomplicate it. Just simply run your offense, do what you know how to do. Look, it's the third quarter, 2-point ball game. No need to get extra fancy here. Just do what you know how to do as a team.
Jekic, Escobedo, they were too close together to make that pass, but Escobedo able to clean it up off the floor, goes up and scores, and we're tied at 33.
And that's the type of stuff you want to see Escobedo doing consistently throughout the game, is using his strength, using his size to be able to fight his way through a defense.
Shot no good. Escobedo gets the board. He's going to take it coast to coast, makes contact, and he's going to be called for the offensive foul. Seamus Molaski taking that charge.
Seamus Molaski set his feet at exactly that right time. It was one of those plays where it's just a bang-bang play. And, sometimes the ref goes your way, sometimes he doesn't. And in that instance, Seamus Molaski able to set his feet just in time. And because of that, Crown Point gets the ball back.
Brett Spain in as Mitch Milosnik will have a seat. Pretty gutsy there by Molaski. 2 fouls. Depending on the way that whistle goes, he could have found himself back on the bench.
Well, I mean, I think that's worth it there in that instance. I think, when you play down low, while you have to be careful, I mean, there's an old saying in basketball, you got 5 fouls, use them, If you're playing down low like that, you're supposed to play aggressive. You need to be able to play a little bit tough, be able to take charges like that. And when you're able to do something like that, it saves you a possession. So, I honest to goodness, risky as it may be, not a bad idea. Still only 2 fouls on the game.
Lux with the 3 off the iron, no. Jekic the board. For a 5'10 guard, Jekic gets a lot of rebounds. He knows how to follow the basketball and where it's going to come down at, and people forget to box him out.
Well, yeah, and again, it's all about the old-fashioned basketball saying crashing the glass. I mean, again, your 7th grade basketball coach always told you if you were outside, get inside. If you're smaller, oftentimes when you're trying to box out your one guy, and if you can fit your way through those little seams there, right there, you just speed right past it and no one can see you. You're able to get a rebound, and all of a sudden you're going the other way down the court.
Connor Cotton with the foul for Crown Point, his second, first team on the Bulldogs here in the second half. Beatty just came into the game. Smith had a seat. Here's Spain with it. Back to Beatty. 3:30 remaining third quarter. We're tied at 33. Spain with it. Jekic. Jekic has to work his way around Svedic. Lost the ball. Lux the other way. Spin move up off the iron, and it drops in. A.J. Lux puts the Bulldogs back in front.
Able to get that friendly bounce off the rim that time. A.J. Lux going to his pivot foot, going with that kind of almost like a Kobe Bryant fadeaway right there. Great job there by A.J. Lux.
Spain with the pump fake. Able to get Elliott in the air, and then he hits the 3. And that puts Lake Central in front, 36-35. First lead change of this third quarter.
Oh, reliable, the pump fake, the oldest trick in the book, and he took advantage of it.
Swan with a good cut, got the feed, got the field goal. Elliott Swan puts Crown Point back in front, 37-36. Back and forth we go in this one as we approach 2.5 minutes in the third.
That's exactly what you want to do when you get faked out on a pump fake, is you want to make a contribution on the offensive side of the ball in that instance, and that's exactly what he did.
Jekic lost the ball as he drove through the lane. Out of bounds, it'll go to Crown Point into the game. Kingston Rhodes having a seat, Jack Svedic. And here comes Smith back into the game for Lake Central. Escobedo will get a break at the 2.5 minute mark of the third. At the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll name the Crowd Company's Lantern Man Superhero of the Game. Crowd Company's proud to recognize the superheroes on the basketball court. Rhodes with it. One of those freshmen I was talking about earlier that sees playing time. Swan, another one. A lot of physical contact, and Crown Point's going to take a timeout as Dikembe Shaw was in trouble there over here on the sideline. It'll be a 30-second timeout by the Bulldogs. So a couple of freshmen on the floor right now in Rhodes and Shaw.
And again, I mean, having that opportunity to be able to have these freshmen play legitimate varsity minutes is always something that you love to see. It's just not something that you're really able to do very often. I mean, oftentimes it's very difficult to get these freshmen good playing time, but they're able to do it here, and I think it just makes you happy because, I mean, the earlier you start, the more you're able to play, the more smarter you're going to get as a basketball player. You can't really control your athleticism, you can't control your speed oftentimes, what you can control is your smarts as a basketball player, and they're gaining a lot more of that than some other kids that don't have the opportunity to play at this young of an age, and that's something that Coach Swan is going to use for Crown Point.
So this will be Elliott Swan, coach's son, that'll bring the ball in for CP. Comes in Rhodes, knocked away by Jekic, stays with the Bulldogs. Well, we thought we would have a good one here tonight, and thus far, Josh, it has not disappointed.
No, I mean, we said before the game, we feel these two teams are very evenly matched, and they've proven to be so. I mean, the differences between these two teams tonight has been razor sharp on both sides, and both these teams very well-rounded. We've seen lots of three-pointers driving to the inside like Lux did there as well.
Good fake on Peters, was able to get around him with the right hand, and the Bulldogs up 3 now, 39-36. Jekic the other way.
By my count, that puts Lux to 16 on the night.
Beatty with it. Beatty throws it up. No, there's Lux with the board. Puts that one off the glass. Shaw comes down with it. He can't get it to fall. many threes you've got for Lux?
I don't know. I'm not. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm only keeping track of points, not threes. So.
Oh, because he had 13 at the half, and he's got 6 in the quarter. So I have him for 19.
At 19. So he's at 19 then. Then that was me. That was me missing something there.
Personal foul on Jake Smith is third for Lake Central. Here's Dikembe Shaw shooting free throws. First one good. Escobedo and Malosnik coming in. Spain, Smith, Beatty all coming out. Williams back in for Lake Central as well. After 7 in the second quarter, that's the first point of this third quarter for Shaw. Molaski has not scored in this frame, and we talked about how between them they had 14 in that first half. Second free throw, no good. Ball tapped around, and Jakic comes down with it, and a whistle. We get a foul call against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and Crown Point, only their second foul of the half, though, so it's not super desperate if you are them, but it is the third foul of the night.
On Connor Cotton.
Yeah, on Connor Cotton. So
Cotton's going out, Svetic coming back in. 40-36 Bulldogs, a minute and a half remaining third quarter. Peters able to get it into Jakic. Goes between the legs as he brings it across the timeline. Jakic gives it up to Peters. Peters, free throw line jumper over Lux. No! Board to Svetic. He's had a lot of rebounds in this one.
He has. I mean, again, crashing the glass. I mean, it's not just the big guys down low that need to get rebounds. Everybody on the basketball team. Rebounding is a team effort. It's something everybody needs to be a part of. And it's huge. I mean, it's a very important part of every basketball game. You look at stats at the end of a game that determine who wins a game. Oftentimes, rebounds are one of those stats. Free throws is another one.
Shaw misses. Rebound after a tap around to Malosnik, and Lake Central into the front court down 4:40 seconds, third quarter. Williams with it. Jakic gets it, 35 seconds. Escobedo, Peters. Malosnik has room, three ball, no. Lux the rebound. Malosnik with the near steal from behind. Lux didn't see him, but he's able to control it. Takes it into the front court, and then there's going to be a foul on Mitch Malosnik.
That's just not something you really should do there if you're Mitch Malosnik. Again, I can see it, trying to come from behind him, trying to steal that basketball, but that was just a little bit too much there in that instance. You appreciate the effort, but you got to be careful there.
Second foul on Malosnik. Sixth team on Lake Central. That's key because Crown Point will shoot free throws the rest of the ball game as we're in the final seconds of the third quarter. Off the board, banking it home, Kingston Rhodes. 6-point advantage for CP. Jakic takes it, shovels it up, and it won't go. And that is the end of the third quarter with the score. Crown Point 42, Lake Central 36. You're watching Game Night right here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Top reasons to work at Strack and Van Til.
Many opportunities to grow.
Flexible hours.
Outstanding benefits like paid vacation time and holidays.
Enjoy health benefits in a 401k plan.
I always feel like I'm part of the team.
Premium and competitive pay.
The sign-on and referral bonuses help to find the perfect talent.
Text STRAX to 97211 to apply today, or visit our site at strackandventil.com/careers. Nobody else will give you the opportunities that we do.
Along with Josh Lupowski, Jerry Siska back with you here at Lake Central, 42-36. The visiting Crown Point Bulldogs lead the Lake Central Indians as we get set to begin action here in the fourth quarter. Foul difficulties for these two clubs. Connor Cotton for Crown Point has 3, while Jake Smith for Lake Central has 3. Everyone else has 2 or fewer. Indians basketball to begin the fourth quarter. A little discussion at the scorer's table right at the moment. So it will be Indian basketball.
And now if you're Lake Central, the fact that you lost that quarter. I mean, it was a 1-point game at half or 2-point game at halftime. Now it's a 6-point ball game.
Yeah,
what you need to do is you need to try to get the ball into your best players' hands. Get it into the hands of Escobedo. Get it into the hands of Xavier Williams. All those guys. And someone's got to step up and be the guy to take over this game.
Jake Smith puts it in. First field goal since the first quarter for Smith. He has 5 points. It's a 4-point game. Yes, you mentioned Lake Central only scored 7 points in the third quarter as they were outscored 11-7 in that frame. Here's Rhodes with it. Turn around off the iron. No, Escobedo with the rebound and whistle and a foul going against Crown Point, and it looks like it's going against Mason Darrell, the freshman.
I love the athleticism, though, that Kingston Rhodes showed there, and that's why he's getting playing time here as a freshman. As look at this interesting, Crown Point going with a big lineup. Seamus Molaski and Dikembe Shaw both in the game. We haven't seen that at all tonight. I think Coach Schwann has seen how Crown Point has dominated on the offensive glass tonight, and I think he wants to take advantage of that and wants to try to shut Lake Central down inside and hold them to shots outside.
Molaski entered the game, and Darrell took a seat. Here's Smith. He's got Shaw on him. Gives it up to Williams. Baseline drive. Used the rim nicely as a protector. Put it up with the right hand on the right side. First field goal for Xavier Williams. It's 47 minutes remaining.
Again, good job there going baseline, using the space that's available to you, and it's just enough. Like I said, you don't need a lot of space to score when you're inside. You need just enough to tap that ball off the glass, which is exactly what he did.
Shaw has it. Williams all over Lux as they're trying to get it to him. They finally do. Williams has him on the baseline. Lux with the turnaround fadeaway, no good, and it's looked like it went off Molaski, but they're saying Escobedo knocked it out of his hands and was the last to touch it, and it will stay with Crown Point.
And who did it go off of? Well, it depends on which student section you're in.
Yeah. Dave Molosnik didn't agree with the call.
I mean, it's just so close. It's a bang-bang play oftentimes when it gets down there. It's just the smallest of margins. And, I mean, it's one of those things where you have to accept, at this level, no replay review, even if you don't agree with the call, you have to just find ways to overcome that. You can't let yourself get too caught up in something like that.
And now we have an illegal screen against the Bulldogs. And now we've got a technical as well.
As we saw there,
the three ball by Lux, no good because of the personal foul.
Yeah, Jake Smith and Connor Cotton got into a shouting match, and the ref pointed it out and just hit the T for technical. Who's going to get credit for it?
Seamus Molaski picked up the personal, his third, fourth team.
Yeah, Jake Smith was the one that ended up getting the technical.
And that becomes his fourth personal foul as well. And the seventh team now against the Indians. So Lux to the line to shoot the 2 technical free throws. First one, good.
Not only that, it means Crown Point's going to be shooting free throws the rest of the way now that they're in the bonus.
One more for Lux. That's up and good as well. So Jake Smith will have to come out. Peters goes in. And that extends the Crown Point lead to 4, and the Bulldogs will get the basketball after the technical call with 6.5 minutes remaining. What's bad there, Josh, it was an illegal screen against CP. Lake Central was going to get the ball down only 2.
Yeah, and that's just the moment where as a player, you have to be able to control your emotions, You have to be able to control it, and you can't let stuff get to you.
Nice entry pass from Swan to Molaski, and he hits the field goal, and just like that, it's a 6-point lead for Crown Point. Timeout, Lake Central. It's a 30-second timeout. We'll keep it right here. 6:17 remaining in the ball game. 46-40 Bulldogs. Here's what I have timeout-wise unofficially. I have 3 remaining for the Bulldogs, 2 fulls and a 30. I have 3 remaining for the Indians, all full timeouts. And again, we look at the foul difficulty. Cotton and Molaski now with 3 each for the Bulldogs. And Jacob Smith has 4 as a result of that technical for Lake Central.
So again, I mean, getting into foul trouble is something that is something that can be a problem, especially when you're getting late into a game like this if you're Lake Central, because now you're looking down the road to where you might potentially have to foul as you get later into this ball game. And if you're Lake Central, you're in a tough spot because you have a lot of guys that are in foul trouble and you have a lot of fouls already. So you're not going to get any opportunities to foul somebody and then a potential for a steal. They're going straight to free throws. So that makes these possessions even more vital as they try to take that lead here before they get to that critical point in the game.
Escobedo has it. This is Jekic to Escobedo. Contact, field goal good. Escobedo, as Mulaski tried to draw the offensive foul. Escobedo with 11 now. 46-42. Still a lot of time remaining. 5:50. Swan with it. Mulaski. That's Svetic. Takes it to the free throw line. Gives it up. Cotton. Swan has it. Cotton splits defenders. Hands it off to Swan. He goes to the left elbow. Kicks it back out. Svetic. He'll reset. 5.5 minutes remaining. Cutting. Getting the ball. Cotton to the rim. No, there's Escobedo. Brings it down. Jekic the other way for Lake Central. Escobedo. Jekic. Corner in Spain. He's going to dribble drive the baseline. Got caught. Tried to go across to Peters. Standing right there was Cotton to intercept the pass. Cotton gives it up. Mulaski misses the open look. Gets his own board. Now he's tied up on the baseline as Jekic and Escobedo reach in. It'll stay with the Bulldogs.
It does stay with the Bulldogs there. Mulaski, I mean, just simply missed that one there. But I love the defense on the other side there by Crown Point, able to guard that baseline. When a guy goes baseline, again, you don't see it good from this angle, but from the side, if you look straight at the basket, there's a couple feet of room there behind the basket to the baseline. And if you can get an offensive player trapped in that area, I mean, that's a really difficult place to be in.
On the inbounds play, Swan Deluxe, field goal, Bulldogs, 6-point advantage, CP. Just under 5 minutes remaining in the game, 48-42 the score. Jekic all the way to the basket, and it's going to be an offensive foul. There was Seamus Mulaski to take the charge.
Great job there by Seamus Mulaski. You've seen that a lot tonight.
Jekic is hurt.
Oh, that's not good to see. You hate to see that.
That's the second foul on Jekic, 8th team on Lake Central. He comes out. Spain comes back in. Milosnik comes back in. He was on the bench. He's reaching down just above the ankle as Jekic goes to the bench. He is the facilitator. He's what makes the offense go. For Crown, before Lake Central, they can ill afford to lose him to any sort of an injury as we're approaching postseason.
And when you lose that facilitator, it's really difficult to get your offense going. Every offense needs to have a starting point. I mean, if you're a Cubs fan, you remember Dexter Fowler saying, you go, we go. When you lose that sort of stuff on the basketball court, it's even more vital because you need someone on the court to be that court general, to be the guy to tell everybody where they need to go, where they need to be, and to facilitate the ball to the guys in order to put them in good positions.
Good defense right there by Xavier Williams. Swan tried to go inside to Lux. Williams read it, came around the proper side, used the proper hand, knocked the pass out of bounds.
And that's just anticipation. I mean, anticipation's always better than reaction. If you're able to anticipate, and that's where film study, all that sort of stuff becomes very important. And that's becoming more and more available to high school players nowadays with the advent of streaming services like this. There's a lot more ways you can do that. You can find out tendencies of players and of teams like that, and able to anticipate where guys want to go with the basketball. Great awareness.
Lux for three, buries it. AJ got a little bit of a screen, gave him a little space away from Williams. Caught, shot at the top of the key. 9-point lead for Crown Point. Under 4 minutes to go.
That is 1 point away from Crown Point's largest lead of the night.
Escobedo scores and he's fouled.
Getting behind your man. That is how you play offense in basketball. Get behind your man. Because, again, you get in between your man and the basket. That's the old school. That's just the simple way to play defense in basketball. When your man gets behind you and your guy who has the ball finds you, that's exactly what you want to do.
Connor Cotton picks up the foul. His fourth, team fifth. Escobedo to try to complete the three-point play. And he does. Indians within 6. Still a lot of time. 3:48 on the clock. Into the front court, Svetic. Escobedo steps out. Svetic tries to split defenders, kicks out. Here's a 3 ball on the way. Too strong. There's Malosnik with the board. Beatty going to bring it up the other way for the Indians. To Malosnik. Pump fake. Takes it to the baseline. Brings it back out. Escobedo at the free throw line, and a timeout being called by Dave Malosnik and the Lake Central Indians. And it's a full timeout. We'll take one with them. 3:25 remaining. CP 51, LC 45. You're watching Game Night right here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
At the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll name the Boilermakers Local 374 Blue Collar Player of the Game. Brought to you by Boilermakers Local 374. Learn about apprenticeship programs and more at local374.org. Earn while you learn with Boilermakers Local 374. 51-45, Crown Point leads Lake Central with 3:25 remaining in this one.
Yeah, and honest to goodness, you were talking about that blue collar, Boilermakers 374 blue collar player of the game. We have a lot of candidates for that, and if we want a Strack and Van Til hometown scoreboard update, Chesterton finishes 7-0 in Duneland Athletic Conference play with a 59-54 win over the Valparaiso Vikings. So Chesterton continues their hot streak this season. A perfect year in the Duneland Athletic Conference.
That scoreboard update brought to you by Strack & Van Til. Strack & Van Til, your local grocer with over 89 years of heritage. That's good to see Miles Jekic back into the game for Lake Central. Looks like he's moving around okay. 6-point game, Indians with the basketball, 3:15 remaining. Jekic with Svetic on him as he tries to go around. Lux cuts him off, so he gives it up to Williams. Williams finds space, and this is going to be Mulaski going to pick this one up this time.
Yeah, again, it's important to just keep your feet set in there. We kind of saw his left leg when he got hit, just kind of kicked out underneath him. Wasn't as set as he was the previous 2 times. Again, we talked earlier in the game, it really is a risk-reward when you're trying to take that charge. And Mulaski, 3 minutes left in the game, he still has another foul to play with, and also given the fact that Crown Point is up by 6, they're not in a position where they're going to have to foul late in the game, so it's worth it to take that. The old saying in basketball, you got 5 fouls, go ahead and use them.
Mulaski picks up his 4th, 16. Give some credit to Xavier Williams. Mulaski set himself, Williams caught it, and Williams slid toward Mulaski's right just a little bit, and that's what caused Mulaski to move. Once Williams took that ever so slight track, that's where Mulaski needs to just open up and protect.
Yeah,
because if you get hit on the side, you're getting called with the block.
Yeah, and that's anticipation. That's the stuff like he saw what Mulaski's done early in the game, making an adjustment in that instance. That's the type of stuff that you need to do as a player. Again, anticipation always beats reaction any day of the week.
Williams split the pair, so it's a 5-point game. Lux has the basketball on the baseline. Kick out, Svetic for 3. No. Knocked around. Lux able to come up with it, go up and score, and he's fouled.
That's a huge play right there. It just seems like every time Lake Central's able to get close in this ballgame, Crown Point makes a play like that. And it's not so much about the fact that Crown Point scores, but it's just the fact that they're able to go up hard like that they're able to play hard. It just kind of changes the momentum of the game, and that's the type of thing that you really want to see if you're Crown Point.
Lux completes the 3-point play. The foul on Brandon Escobedo is 3rd, team's 9th, and it's an 8-point advantage for Crown Point with 2.5 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Jekic. Escobedo into the lane. Kick out. Jekic gets a screen from Escobedo. Pull up at the free throw line. Miles Jekic can't get it to fall. There's Lux with the rebound. AJ bringing it into the front court. Gives it up to Swan. Swan takes it in the lane, kicks it out. Svetic goes down low, and it's good read by Williams, and he stole this one instead of knocking it out. Williams all the way through the lane. Contact with Mulaski. Shot won't fall, but a whistle and a foul.
And that's going to be it for Mulaski. That's his 5th foul.
Seamus Molesky going to foul out of this game, having scored 9 points in the contest. That's going to send Xavier Williams to the line to shoot 2.
But if I'm a coach, I can take fouling out of the game given the other stuff that Molesky did tonight. The presence on the offensive glass, the ability to score inside, the ability to just be tough inside. Look, if you're going to do that the rest of the game, if the trade-off is every once in a while the guy has to come out the final 2 minutes because he fouls out, you can be okay with that, especially considering Crown Point's up by 8 points right now, and Molesky's inside play is a large part of that. That's something that you'll take if you're a coach.
Williams misses the first free throw. He'll get one more.
And you see right there, Swan high-five Molesky there on the bench. That's him telling Molesky, you played a tough game out there, kid. That's exactly what I want you to do out there. You did everything you were supposed to do. You put us in a position to win. And Crown Point up 7 here with less than 2 minutes to go. They're in the catbird seat to win this ball game.
Dikembe Shaw into the game as Molesky fouled out. And now Beatty's into the game and Williams sits as Lake Central tries to get quicker defensively. And now with Crown Point nearing a 10-second count, we get a timeout called by the Bulldogs. And it'll be a 30-second timeout for Crown Point, so we'll keep it right here. So both teams with 2 full timeouts remaining, a 7-point game with 1:49 left. Foul difficulties, as we mentioned, Seamus Molesky has fouled out. Connor Cotton has 4 for Crown Point. Jacob Smith has 4, and Brandon Escobedo with 3 for Lake Central.
And that does make things a little bit more precarious as you get later into this game if you are Lake Central, because of the fact that you know you're going to have to foul eventually. And, both teams are in the bonus now, so, there's also the trade-off there. If I'm Lake Central, I'm trying to draw fouls every time down the floor. You're trying to find a way to force Crown Point to play less aggressive during a basketball game.
So here's Cotton. Brings it in to Svetic. Svetic overthrows it. It would have been stolen, but we're going to get a whistle and a foul against the Indians.
And we saw number 2 for Lake Central, Mitchell Malaznik. He was holding his arms out like, what in the world was going on there? But that little bit of contact there heading over the timeline. Again, it doesn't always take much. It just takes that little bit of contact there, and now that's going to put Crown Point to the line. 10 fouls, that puts Crown Point into the double bonus, so now it's no more 1-on-1s. It's 2 free throws from here on out, no matter the foul.
That foul went against Miles Jekic, his 3rd. First free throw good for Jack Svetic as Smith comes in and Peters goes out. 55-47, an 8-point lead for the Bulldogs. 1:45 remaining in this one. Next free throw by Svetic. It's no good. Knocked around. Jekic comes down with it. 8-point game, 140. Lake Central needs to have some sense of urgency. Beatty with it. Malaznik, Escobedo, and Smith. On a good pass by Smith to Escobedo, who is cutting to the basket. 55-49, 6-point game, 1:20 left and a foul. Mitch Malaznik picking up his 3rd. Connor Cotton going to the line for the first time. Cotton scoreless thus far in this contest.
Odd considering how much we've called his name. But now you're at that point of the game if you're Lake Central where you're just trying to foul as much as you can and just trying to get yourself as much time here as you can. But Crown Point just keeps hitting their free throws. Crown Point as a team came into tonight shooting 68.2% from the free throw line. That's a very solid mark for high school basketball. I mean, that's over 2 of every 3 free throws you're making. And that's just something that you got to do. And that's where these free throw drills are so important at the end of practice. I mean, if you played high school basketball, those free throw drills at the end of practice and just how stringent those were a lot of times.
Jekic stepped on the baseline as he drove along it, so that's a turnover on Lake Central. Cotton had hit both free throws. Williams entered the game during the free throws. Now Peters comes in with this stoppage of play. Smith has a seat for the Indians. 1:10 left on the clock. CP by 8. Basketball comes in. Cotton to Svetic. Svetic crosses the timeline, being defended by Peters. Finds Swan open. Shaw, cross court, Cotton. 55 seconds. Crown Point playing keep away now. And here's a whistle and a foul.
And again, good job there by Crown Point to be able to do that. And in this instance for Crown Point, every possession, you're just looking to milk as much clock as you possibly can throughout it. And they did a good job there in that instance. But again, you're shooting free throws, and that's where these free throw drills that happen at the end of practice all the time. That's where they become super important in these moments.
The freshman, Dikembe Shaw, misses the first. The foul was against Brandon Escobedo, his fourth. Peters to the bench. Smith back in with 52 seconds remaining. Shaw with another try. Up, and he hits that one. He splits the pair. After 7 points in the first half, that's his first point of this second half. 9-point advantage, 45 seconds. Smith, Williams, Jekic for three. No. Knocked around, tapped around some more. Smith gets it in the corner. Pub fake, puts up a three. Off the iron, no good. Lux, weak side rebound for the Bulldogs, half a minute. To Cotton and a foul. And I believe that is Smith, and that will be his fifth.
And Lake Central's just in desperation time now. But again, it's just a great job by Crown Point here tonight. The fact that Crown Point has been able to come in here on the road and really, in all honesty, they just played a more physical game than Lake Central did. That's really what the difference in this game came down to. It was just, it didn't come down to the three-point shooting as much as it came down to at the end of the ball game how good everybody was simply at, or how good Crown Point was, I should say, at playing tough there down low, taking those charges like Molaski did, getting those offensive rebounds like Dikembe Shaw did, and even just the way that some other guys were able to come in and get rebounds from behind the defense. That was what was so vital and what made this game the way that it was and allowed Crown Point to come away with the lead that they do and put themselves in a really good position to win this basketball game. And I said before the contest, what's going to determine this game ultimately is the matchup down low between the big men. And Crown Point won that matchup, and Crown Point's winning this game right now. They have their largest lead of the night.
Cotton makes one of the two. It's a 10-point lead, matching the biggest lead of the evening for CP. And with just 26 and a half seconds left, looks like this one's going to go in the victory column for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and it's going to clinch them tied for second in the DAC at the very worst. You know, they'll finish second, and that's the best they have finished ever since they won the DAC back in 2017. So again, you love to do that if you're a team, to be able to do that. Crown Point, not able to finish any better than third the last few years, to be able to be in that position, finish with a solid 5-2 record, have some good momentum as they head into sectionals here next week, or in the next couple of weeks. As we said, Sunday is is the day in which the draw happens, and is when they're going to determine who plays who in the sectionals. And Crown Point has a lot of momentum heading into that, and I think you've got to be happy with that.
So Lake Central took the timeout. It's a full timeout. This will be the third straight loss for the Indians. They'll finish the campaign next Friday night here against McCutcheon. For Crown Point, after losing last Friday night, they'll win for the third time in the last 4 games. They'll close out the season at home next week, playing Morton on Tuesday night and then Lowell on Friday night. So 10-point game, 25 seconds. Jekic into the front court. Bounces it off his foot. Cotton comes up with it. Gives it up to Lux. Exclamation point, A.J. Lux. That is the biggest lead of the night for CP. Spain with it. Williams, 5 seconds. Williams pump fake over Lux. No. Escobedo there. He scores. And that's it. Your final score from here at Lake Central tonight. The Crown Point Bulldogs 61. The Lake Central Indians 51. Post game coming up. You're watching Game Night right here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
From schools to stadiums, hospitals and bridges, everywhere you look, union carpenters are building Indiana. With jobs and skilled trades in high demand, there's never been a better time to start building your future. As an apprentice, you'll earn a debt-free college degree, earn while you learn, and receive great benefits like healthcare and retirement. So what are you waiting for? Visit carpenters.com to learn more. Visit carpenters.com and start building your future today.
Since 2000, Hose Connections in Hammond has been a premier leader in the hydraulics industry. Hose Connections is a one-stop shop offering quality hydraulic and pneumatic products and services. Hose Connections takes pride in not only meeting but exceeding customers' expectations. To learn all about the products and services that Hose Connections offers, visit hoseconnectionsinc.com or call 219-844-6570. Hose Connections in Hammond. Proven under pressure. Start or advance your career at T&B Tube Company. At T&B, employees are more than just a number. They are a valuable part of the success of T&B Tube Company and make an impact every day. Located just a short drive away from Chicago, T&B Tube Company offers benefits such as tuition reimbursement and a community-like work atmosphere. To learn more about joining the growing team at T&B Tube Company, visit tbtube.com/careers.
Develop skills that will last for a lifetime with an apprenticeship with the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Local 4, Indiana, Kentucky. The apprenticeship and training program is committed to developing highly skilled bricklayers, terrazzo workers, and ceramic tile setters to provide the construction industry with the best hands in the business. If you are currently working non-union and want better pay with benefits, or if you think learning a new skill with a paid apprenticeship while you earn your associate's degree is the right path for you, visit baclocal4.org/training to learn more about the apprenticeship program. Are you built to succeed?
Hi, I'm Crown Company's Lantern Man. I'll cover your motorcycle. I'll be with you on the water. I'll be with you on the snow. I'll cover your insurance needs wherever you go. I'll be at Crowell Agency from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Companies, the insurance professionals in Highland, Maryville, and Michigan City.
Back with you here at Lake Central, along with Josh Lepowski. I'm Jerry Siska. 61-51. Crown Point wins this Duneland Conference battle with the Lake Central Indians. Taking a look at the scoring totals very quickly. First for the victorious Crown Point Bulldogs, who improved to 12-8 on the season and 5-2 in the DAC. AJ Lux led the way with 30. Seamus Molaski and Dikembe Shaw, 9 points apiece. Elliott Swan had 4. Jack Svedich had 3. Connor Cotton had 3. And Kingston Rhodes had 2. Crown Point 11 of 16 at the line in this one. 19, 12, 11, and 19 is how Crown Point scored their 61 points over 4 quarters. The Bulldogs will finish up with home games against Morton and Lowell next week. For Lake Central, they were led in scoring by Brandon Escobedo, who had 18 points, just 2 players overall, 1 on each side in double figures in this one. Mitch Malosnik had 9 points, got hot in the second quarter, had 3 threes, never scored again the rest of the way. Miles Jukic had 7, Brett Spain off the bench had 6, Jacob Smith had 5, Xavier Williams had 4, Rhett Peters had 2 for the Indians, total of 51. They did it with 12, 17, 7, and 15 over 4 quarters, and they were just 4 of 8 at the free throw line. The Indians fall to 14-8. This is their 3rd straight loss. They'll close out the regular season here against McCutcheon next Friday night. Final thoughts, Josh, before we get to our awards?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately tonight, we talked about it. The difference in tonight's ball game was just how Crown Point played underneath, and particularly the play of the guys like Seamus Molaski and the play of Dikembe Shaw. You know, AJ Lux, of course, 30 points. You can't ignore that. But I think really that was the difference in this ballgame. The reason why this was a 10-point ballgame was because of the 2 of those. Because I think aside from those 2, I think everything was pretty equal on both sides. I think both sides did a solid job shooting the ball. They did a really solid job, I think, with outside play. But I think Crown Point, they just played. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, look at the stats. 16 free throws only for Crown Point, 8 free throws for Lake Central. Because Crown Point just played a lot tougher inside. They drew a lot more fouls, and they were not afraid to be able to do that. They weren't afraid to use all 5 fouls if they needed to, and that's exactly what Seamus Molaski did, for example. That, to me, was really the big difference in tonight's ballgame. And, you know, this gives Crown Point some really good momentum heading into sectionals. A very difficult sectional, I might add both these schools have difficult sectionals, so I think it's a good confidence boost for Crown Point.
Time to name the Crown Company's Lantern Man Superhero of the Game. Crown Company's proud to recognize the superheroes on the basketball court.
Yeah, tonight, A.J. Lux, he gets the Crown Company Lantern Man Superhero of the Game. Simply put, 30 points, leading scorer. This guy is just, he's a cheat code is what he is. The guy can pull up from anywhere on the court and make something. Really good inside, really good outside, good ball handler, good at pretty much everything on the basketball court, and he just did a tremendous job tonight. Easy candidate for player of the game.
3 triples, 9 2-point field goals, 3 of 3 at the line. A lot of rebounds as well. 30 points for A.J. Lux. That is your Crown Company's Lantern Man Superhero of the Game. Crown Companies, they have offices open from 9 to 7, Monday through Friday, and Saturdays until 2 in Highland, Maryville, and Michigan City. Time to name the proud Union Home Play of the Game, presented by IKORCC, training professionalism and partnerships for economic development.
How about A.J. Lux putting an exclamation point on the game at the end there with that slam dunk there to finish it off? That just simply, describe the way that game ended, which was just Crown Point just outplayed Lake Central here tonight, and A.J. Lux wanted to make sure that he left the fans with something memorable after tonight. Great play.
So A.J. Lux dunk to finish this one off. That's your proud Union Home Play of the Game, presented by IKORCC. Build your future. Learn more at IKORCC.com. They are the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters. Time to name the Blue Collar Player of the Game, brought to you by Boilermakers Local 374. Boilermakers Local 374. Learn about apprenticeship programs and more at local374.org.
Well, we decided there were 2 guys that were worthy of that tonight, and that's Seamus Mulaski and Dikembe Shaw. Both guys, the big men inside for Crown Point, doing a great job. Offensive rebounds, Seamus Mulaski using all 5 fouls perfectly, exactly the way you're supposed to whenever you have to. Just the tough play on the boards, the tough play inside, which I believe was the difference in tonight's ball game. And it was Dikembe Shaw and Seamus Mulaski that really played well. Maybe some of the unheralded stuff you don't always see that doesn't end up on the highlight reel, but they did a great job of all of that, and that to me was the difference in tonight's ball game.
Both of them finishing with 9 points in the contest, and they really were a presence on the inside for the Crown Point Bulldogs this evening. That's your Blue Collar Players of tonight's game, brought to you by the Boilermakers Local 374. Boilermakers Local 374. Earn while you learn with Boilermakers Local 374. The executive producer of the Region Sports Network is Chris Ramirez. Our coordinating producer and our game producer tonight is Nathan Laird. He's Josh Lepowski. I'm Jerry Siska. Hope you enjoyed the ball game. Video, great job by Justin Cole bringing you all of the pictures from here at Lake Central tonight. Special thanks to Chris Ennert, the athletic director here at Lake Central, to the head coaches, Clint Swan of Crown Point and Dave Malosnik of Lake Central, for all of their help in preparing for tonight's ball game. And, of course, a thanks to you, the viewers, at Facebook.com/Region Sports, YouTube.com/Region Sports, and RegionSports.com. Well, that'll do it from here at Lake Central. The final score for the final time, the Crown Point Bulldogs 61, the Lake Central Indians 51. I hope everyone has a fantastic evening and weekend. For Justin, for Nathan, for Josh, I'm Jerry. Good night, everyone, and you've been watching Game Night right here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.